Okay, so I'm going to show you how I use this Excel document in order to take these expense numbers from the P&L and put them in a format that's easy to copy and paste into Business Tracker. So this is just an Excel document that I came up with to make my life easier. So hopefully it makes sense and makes things a little easier and more efficient for processing the expense numbers. Um, so just to give you a little bit of info from the start. So they're yellow numbers. Those are numbers that you actually have to manually enter into the document. So just the yellow numbers, and they usually come straight from the QuickBooks profit and loss document. There are white numbers as well, like this one, this one. These are calculated numbers, so you do not need to enter those numbers in. They will automatically generate themselves. The purple numbers will also automatically generate. These are the numbers that you will actually use to copy and paste into Business Tracker. So they are in the right order so that you can simply copy and paste the whole list over to the expense tab in Business Tracker. So the work in this document is basically updating the yellow numbers and just cross-verifying that all the numbers add up correctly when you compare them to the profit and loss. So what I'm going to do first, these are all numbers from January of 2019. What I do is I make a copy of that sheet. I'm going to make a copy of that sheet by selecting Move or Copy. Create a copy, and I'm going to put it after January of 2019, before the projections. So there's the copy. And right now I'm going to process February numbers, so I'm going to rename this as February of 2019. And I'll rename it up here too. So what I could do, I could make a copy of January 2019 12 times so that I could just rename each one with a new month. But I always use the previous month to copy over, because then, like when I'm doing my February numbers and I'm looking at the expenses on the P&L, I can actually make sure that I'm looking at the right number for the current month by looking at what number was in the previous month. So this number here, for example, for 360 tours, let me see, where's 360 tours? So 360 tour expenses is right here. I can see for January's expense, it was 1643, which is correct. It's right here. So I can see that when I want to enter in my February number, it's going to be the number in the February column right next to where that January number is. So having the previous month's numbers here can help you find the right numbers on the P&L, just to make sure you're using. It's just another way to cross-check as you're entering numbers in. So that's why I always so when I go to do March, I'll just copy February's sheet into a March sheet. That way I'll be able to compare numbers. Okay, so at the top, this top section right here, called affiliate income, this is not something that you'll have to update on a regular basis. If something changes about this, you're not going to see it in the P&L. You will know if something changes here if Dave notifies you of a change. So this is all money that these lenders and these attorneys' offices pay towards marketing for themselves, but it also reduces our cost. So it's kind of like an affiliate relationship where they are also helping with the cost, our cost for Zillow and Vyral. Now, I just said these numbers don't often change. I do know it just so happens that Martin has decided not to contribute anymore. So I know that that's going to go down to 0. And I only know that because Dave emailed me. There's nothing else that would have told me that that change was made. So everything else down here, these are expenses that will come from the P&L. So the first section is called input cost of sale expenses. And so I need to enter in, this is called agent support cost of sale. These are just the bonuses that the listing specialist and the listing admin and the buyer admin, get paid per transaction. So those are the transaction bonuses. I think Karen makes $25 per listing transaction closed, and Anita makes $50 per buyer transaction closed. This column right here tells you where in the P&L, so QB stands for QuickBooks. That's the program that's used to generate this P&L. It'll tell you where in the QuickBooks file or the P&L you can find it. So you can find it under the staff expense category. So let me show you where I get these numbers. So again, expenses are right down here. We've got auto expenses, education expenses, lead generation, marketing, meals, entertainment, occupancy, equipment and supplies, operations. There is staff. So that's where I want to look in order to find these numbers. So these are bonuses for Anita and for Karen. So if I just kind of look down here, there's Anita. She's got bonus pay and regular pay. Her bonus pay is right here. So notice January, the number should have been $350, and it's the same for February for Anita. So I'm just going to leave that number the same over here. Karen, her bonus pay in January was $375, so that's where that number came from. But in February now it's $150, so I'm going to change that to $150. And that's all I got to do there. So it's about finding the right numbers over here. And I put this little note. This is what these two bonus pays are called, agent support cost of sale. Down here we have transactional cost of sale. And it's going to seem like I'm jumping all over this P&L. And to some degree that is the case. But as you get used to doing this month after month, you kind of know where things are in the P&L. But at least it tells you here where the source of it is. So the source is transactional cost of sale, which is that section. It's actually not in the expense section. That's the section that's up here in the cost of goods sold section, transactional cost of sale. So 360 tours last month was $1,643. This month it's $1,503.70. So I'm going to put that in. If there's anything else in expenses, it looks like there was a cleaning and staging for $120. That there was no cleaning and staging expense last month, but now it's $120. So I'm going to put for cleaning and staging $120. You'll notice there's nothing here about listing repairs or gifts or other. So that just means that that would be zero. Those would have zeros across the board, and so they were eliminated from the P&L. So those are all going to be left as zeros. You'll notice as I update this, these purple numbers will update as well. And as I update these purple numbers will update as well. Okay, down here, these are return on investment expenses. That's what ROI stands for. The first number that I want to put in is total lead generation. So we want to put in the total expense for lead generation. And so in the P&L, we look for the lead generation section, which is right here. So we want the total expense for the month. So the total for a given category or subcategory is always down towards the bottom. So here's my total for lead generation. Last month, it was $14,706.01, which is what it says up here in the Excel file. For February, it's 12/9/1701. So I'm going to put that in here. And then down here, we just need to look. So all this actually, hold on. Oops. Okay. All of these in yellow are going to come from within that lead generation section in the P&L. So you and they'll go, do they go in order? I think they do. So if you kind of skim down from top to bottom, you'll run into these specific categories, which are just categories that he's kind of pulled out as being major expenses within lead generation. And then whatever's left over that he doesn't have up here just gets lumped in here as a category called other lead generation. So if I look for realtor.com, there's realtor.com. The expense is 302336. So there's that one. If I go down to Zillow, 207851. DHT 60 Touch. And this is one where here's DHT 60 Touch, and you'll notice there's a whole bunch of subcategories. You want the total for DHT 60 Touch. You want the total for any category that has subcategories with it. So DHT 60 Touch is 305, which is pretty low. Whoops. It's pretty low for a month. And then DHT Inner Circle, you go to total Inner Circle, and it's 982.62. And then Gary Muccio database is right here, Marketing Muccio database, 314.57. Bear with me as I enter these numbers in. Radio is down here, so it's going in order from top to bottom. You just have to find the right expenses. So 4130. Okay, so that takes care of those specific expenses. Again, this number right here for other lead generation, that's just what it would add up to if you added all the other things that we didn't circle in pink. So like if I added in DHT website marketing, the $24.98, the VoicePad subscription, like all these other kind of random smaller expenses, when you add all those that are in lead generation, when you add all those up, they add up to this. Looks like I was wondering why this number seems so high. It looks like there's a pretty high signage cost for February, and that's why. So as you do these, you'll start to kind of recognize which numbers are a little higher than usual and which ones aren't. All right, let me try and get through these as quickly as possible. So these are people expenses. All of these are coming from the staff section. So if I go down to the staff section of the expenses, we've got associate sales director salary. There it is, $2,200. Then association dues. Doesn't look like there's nothing here for association dues, so that is automatically a 0 because it was eliminated from the P&L because it would be zeros across the board. This bonuses, I put a little note over here. This is for Jenna's bonuses and end of year bonuses, like December bonuses that you guys get. That's for agents and admin. So you kind of have to look around for this. So it does not include the bonuses we already entered in for Anita and Karen. It would include Jenna's bonus pay per transaction, which it looks like last month it was $600. And Jenna had a bonus of $600, plus you had this bonus up here, which from January, $275.84. So I combined those two to get the $875.84 that we had in January. You don't have that bonus up there for February. So all I would enter in here is your bonus of $325, or Jenna's bonus for $325. And if there were end of year bonuses, you could add them in there too. All right, so if I move on, continuing education, looks like we were reimbursed, so that's negative 2001. CPML accounts, I don't think, that's not all, it's not a monthly expense. It's paid maybe quarterly or even biannually, I'm not sure. So I don't see CPML expenses. Then these are regular pay for the 3 admin. So regular pay for Jenna's $3,200. We already have that. Regular pay for Anita's $23.44. And regular pay for Karen is $23.23. That one's a little different. So hers is $23, $23, $63. Okay. IRA matching $260.78. Payroll tax is $968.79. E&O insurance is $30. That's the same. Inside sales agent is $12.50. Licensing courses is not even shown here. Neither is licensing renewals, so those were not expenses at all. Showing agent services, so I'm going to go down to total showing agent services and do the $16.12.26. Virtual assistant is $18.16.88, which is the same here. Workers' comp is usually paid once a year in January or December, so that's not an expense here. It would normally show up right here. And then there's no other expenses. These are automatically pulled from up above. So once you've entered in those numbers, what that does is it automatically generates this list of numbers here. And the one thing that you do want to check is this total staff number. You actually want to compare it. Oh, and it doesn't check out. Of course it doesn't check out. Why doesn't it check out? Oh wait, yes it does. I'm looking at the wrong number. So you want to look at this number and the total staff number and make sure they're the same. 14,830.34. They match up, which means that the numbers, there's no mistakes in the numbers that we entered. So again, it takes these numbers and kind of compiles them in the right order in this list, which then translates to this purple list, which gets copy and pasted into Business Tracker. And then this is the last section of fixed expenses, and this one's pretty easy. It's kind of putting in the other major expense categories. So automobile, looks like there was no total expense for automobile, so that's going to be 0. Education is next. Education, I want to go down to total education is $1073.70. KW transition costs, I don't see that in here at all. Meals and entertainment, we already did lead generation, so we skipped that section. We already did marketing too. Oh, did I put a marketing number in? I didn't. Up here, we were supposed to put a marketing number in and I didn't. So marketing, total marketing was 0 for February. All right, back down here. Meals and entertainment should be $252.09. Occupancy, equipment, and supplies. I go down to the total is $2096.43. And operations down here total is $2125.24. Okay, so those are all the yellow numbers there. The last thing I do is I look at this total expense number and I go the whole way down to the bottom of the expense section to where it says total expense, and make sure the numbers are the same. So 33,294.81 matches 33,294.81. So that tells me that the numbers I've got here are accurate enough to put into Business Tracker. And again, these numbers translate over here, and I just copy and paste from here into Business Tracker, which I'll show you in the next video. So that's how I plug the numbers in here. The hardest part is becoming familiar enough with the P&L to know where these numbers are coming from, but you at least have a backup if you do that little trick of using the previous month's numbers to being able to find the number in the previous month on the P&L and using the corresponding current month's number to enter into the Excel document. I'll make a new video for showing you how to get these numbers into Business Tracker.